Hi, gang. It's Patrick.
And Adam.
Coming up on today's episode, we give our spoiler-free review of the newest MCU movie, Black Widow. As always, we discuss the latest Disney news, and we close out the show with some quick D. All that and more on today's episode of Gays Do the D.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Adam, Phase 4 Hummel.
Patrick, do svidaniya, Kazuki.
Oh, you could be a voice actor in Rocky and Bullwinkle. It's that good.
Yeah, if you need a stereotyped Russian accent, come over and see Adam Hummel, won't ya?
Come on over, won't you?
Do you remember when Meg Ryan said Das Vedanya in Anastasia?
You know what? I have a confession to make. I have not seen that movie.
Oh my, how the tables have turned.
I know, hold for shocked silence. To my credit, it's not technically, it is now technically a Disney movie, but it was not a Disney movie back in the day.
That's right. Yeah. Well, maybe you should check it out. A lot of people really love it. The musical is wonderful. I will say that.
I have tickets that have been pushed back further and further and further. I think I'm seeing it in 3022.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you're really going to like it.
Good.
I can only imagine the stage work that could be done by 3022.
Yes, it's on the 1000th anniversary of the actual event.
Anyway, check out the animated film, won't you? There's Meg Ryan voices Anastasia, and there's no attempt at any Russian dialect, nor should there be. But at one pivotal moment in the film, she has to say Das Vedanya, and she's like, it's a very, very dramatic moment, and she's like, Das Vedanya.
She holds for it. She preps for it, and then leaps
it's
into
not
it.
her best work.
Fair enough. Oh, we digress. Adam, how are you, sir? Are you keeping the sin in Wisconsin?
I am keeping the sin in Wisconsin. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
You know, you didn't answer my question, but I'm doing fine. I'm doing well. I'm doing great.
Do you need a list of sins?
I do. I need 7. In fact, I need 7 deadly Wisconsins.
Well, there's cheese. There's beer.
Yeah.
There's more cheese, more beer. That's 4.
That's a book title. That's like the new John Grisham book title. 7 Deadly Wisconsins.
When I think of Wisconsin, I think of a hard-hitting legal thriller.
Or maybe it's Cyndi Lauper's newest album.
Oh, my.
I'm on a roll today.
Famous Wisconsinite, Cyndi Lauper.
I don't know if I believe that, but I will. I'll allow for it.
She's from the Bronx, Wisconsin. Little known fact. Yeah.
You can hear it in her accent for sure.
Well, should we kick off this episode by welcoming a brand new Tweedle, Patrick?
I kind of want to still talk about Wisconsin, but let's get into it.
Well, perhaps this new Tweedle is from Wisconsin. I know for a fact she's not. But Amy, welcome to the Tweedle fam.
Amy, thank you for finding our little show that could.
Yeah, Amy reached out via email, so no Instagram handle to pass along, but she already submitted a couple of questions for our 150th episode, Patrick.
Well, Amy, you're doing it right. You want to remain anonymous, as most of our Tweedles should.
That's a good point. What are you all doing? What are you doing? Letting us know who you are, your addresses, your blood type, your social security numbers.
Don't tell people that you listen to our show.
Don't do that. Certainly do not do that. How embarrassing for you.
How embarrassing. Thank you so much, Amy. And thank you for your question. Speaking of, our 150th episode is right around the corner. Are you so excited you just can't hide it, Adam?
I'm so excited. I just can't hide it. Patrick, it's next week, episode 150.
It really blows my mind. I know that sounds sort of, superfluous, but it's crazy that we have done 150 episodes of Gays Do the D. And I'm sure there's someone out there who has listened to all 149 so far episodes.
It's not you, right?
It's certainly not me.
Yeah, 150. It is an accomplishment. We're very proud of this podcast, obviously, but we couldn't have done it without your listenership, Tweedles. So we thank you for sticking with us. And those of you that have left, you're not going to be listening. So I guess you.
Oh, am I editing this one? Oh no. I'm so bad at that bleep button. I'm keeping it in.
No, the smart ones have left. The rest of you are just making a huge mistake.
A huge mistake, but we appreciate you. You know what they say? Misery loves gays do the D.
That's right. That's right. That's absolutely
Is that the saying?
Right. That's absolutely right, Patrick. Yes.
Okay, great. Well, in that vein, those of you who are still with us, all of you miserable listeners out there, please send us your questions, send us your comments, send us your celebrations. For our next episode, we're going to do a questions and Peter Pantsers episode.
We've already had some really phenomenal, and I mean that, really phenomenal questions submitted, and some of y'all are just sick in the head.
I am excited and nervous for any of my family members to listen to the next episode.
Yes, you will be barred from any kind of reunions, weddings, what have you.
Yeah. I'm trying really hard not to have an answer so I can answer off the cuff for next week's episode. But the questions you all are submitting, phenomenal. You have reached a new level in fandom of Gays Do the D.
And we should say, we have not received one voice memo, not one single voice memo.
Disappointing, everybody. Someone step up to the plate.
Yeah, you know what I say to that? Death to all of them.
You're in a mood today. You've clearly seen Black Widow.
Black Widow and Wendy Williams. Thank you to both.
Oh, I mean, the two couple so well together. But thank you for those questions. Keep them coming. You have until what date, Adam, to send them in? I don't know. I don't know what a calendar is.
Well, if you're listening the week of this episode's release, it's probably like this Friday.
Sure, why not? This Friday, everybody. But send in those questions. Adam, tell them where they should send those questions.
Don't tell me what to do. You're not the boss of me, but I will.
Okay, fair.
I will because we're friends. You can reach out to us on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast.
Or you can leave us an email or please a voice memo at info@gaysdothed.com.
I want at least one voice memo. Someone out there, please just send us a voice memo. And this just in, Patrick, this Friday is July 16th. So if you're listening to this, we need those questions by July 16th, 2021. Important to point that out, too.
Or you can always just send us a question because we will keep it on the back burner for the next installment of Questions and Peter Pantsers.
Excellent point, Patrick.
Thank you so much. I'm very pointy today.
Speaking of points... How about that Bastille Day?
Okay, there it is. I was going to say, I don't know which segment you're going to choose to segue into because it could be any of them.
I guess, it was a fortress, wasn't it? Didn't they storm the Bastille? Was it a fortress? Were there points on it? It probably had points somewhere.
There may have been spears involved, at least.
Britney Spears, #Free Britney.
Britney Spears was there for Bastille Day, that's for sure. But happy Bastille Day to all of our French listeners.
All of you out there who are French, we love you so, so much. Do you think we have any French listeners? Probably.
There must be. I know we have people in Germany. We have people in Australia, Brazil. There's got to be someone in France.
We're very big in the Philippines. Did you know that?
I'm very big in the Philippines, actually. Just my stature.
It's true. Oh my gosh. Yeah, amazing. But yeah, okay. French listeners, if you're out there, please reach out to us. Say bonjour.
Just on top of the accent game today, Adam.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I've covered Russian, French. Where are we going to go after this? Who knows? Got to stay listening to find out.
You know where we're going to go next after this is to South America, Adam.
It's true. What a cliffhanger you've established.
We're going to South America, everybody. No, but we are going to talk about South America for just a moment because the new the teaser trailer, really, for Encanto was released this past week.
Wait a minute. We don't get to learn anything about Bastille Day?
We don't because we don't know much about it is the thing. No, it is basically, for all you listeners out there, it's the 4th of July for France. They
stormed the Bastille. It happened in 1789, I think. I mean, a lot of stuff was going on in those late 1700s. A lot. It was a very tumultuous time in world history, but the Bastille was stormed. French Revolution. Get into it.
Get into that revolution, everybody. Yeah, it's a huge celebration, I hear, actually, in France. They really get into it for Bastille Day.
I wonder if Disneyland Paris does anything for it.
Ooh, I don't know. I feel like Disney World actually does something for it on Bastille Day.
Cupcakes in the France Pavilion and World Showcase.
Probably they guillotine the cupcake off for you. It's really, it's quite a show.
Mm-hmm. And there's raspberry filling on the inside.
There absolutely is, and it's really horrifying, is what it is. But it's beautiful at the same time.
It's horrifying. It's beautiful. It's delicious.
Just like our show.
All right, let's head to Colombia.
Let's do that. If I've said that once, I've said it 1,000 times. Let's head to Colombia. Encanto. Boy, oh boy. Initial thoughts, Adam?
Well, there's already an earworm in that title track. Holy moly, I've been singing it ever since the teaser came out.
Yeah, absolutely. This is where Adam finally becomes a fan of Lin-Manuel Miranda.
You like to slap me every episode, pretty much every episode, with like how I'm not a fan of his, but I am a fan of his when it comes to his music, his creativity. It's just his acting. I can't get on board with yet. Maybe he'll surprise me one of these days.
Why do you hate him? I don't understand it.
No, I mean, this teaser trailer is phenomenal. We don't learn a ton, but we learn just enough. It really does tease us, as they say, Patrick. It is vibrant. It is beautiful. It looks like it's going to present us a really fantastic group of characters in this family, this Madrigal family.
I think so too. You absolutely nailed it on the head there. It looks beautiful. I'm going to go out on a limb, Adam. I'm going to take a big swing. I'm going to mix all my metaphors and say that this is maybe the most interesting, beautiful trailer that I've seen from Disney in a very long time.
Come for Patrick if you don't agree.
Listen, I want to hear if you don't agree with that, because if you were not a fan of this trailer, you are not alive.
Stunning. Classic fish out of water, right? We've got, what was her name? Mirabelle, right? Her name is Mirabelle Madrigal. Does not have the magical powers that the rest of her family has.
Or does she? Who can say?
Is it love? Is that the magical power we're going to learn about?
That's what it is. That's absolutely what it is. Here's what I love about this. I'm very intrigued, is that a lot of the magical powers that this family has aren't gender-based. Do you know what I mean? Like the woman was the strong one, and there was a male figure who was kind to animals. You know what I mean? There's that trope of of magical powers are very masculine or feminine, and it felt like it was intentionally staying away from that, which is really fun to see.
Yeah, let's talk about those animals for a second. Patrick, there's a capybara. Did I say that right? Capybara?
Capybara, I believe, yeah.
I mean, I think that was my spirit animal in a previous episode way back. I don't even remember. I think it was a Quick D question. We assigned each other spirit animals, and that's the one you gave me, I think.
Who can remember? Again, I have not listened to all 149 episodes thus far.
Why would you?
For that, I suppose. Anyways, Encanto. Beautiful. Get into it. Watch it if you haven't. Let us know your thoughts about it.
Please share your thoughts. Coming out November or something?
November 24th, in fact.
Oh, Patrick, what a birthday present for you.
What a delicious birthday eve present for me.
And then from Colombia, Patrick, it's a natural progression. We go from we go from France to Colombia to This Week in Disney History.
What a segue, again, on top of your segue game and your dialect game. Adam, thank you so much. That's right. It's time for This Week in Disney History. Let's start out 44 years ago, Adam. On July 13th, 1977, voice actress Carrie Walgren was born in Hoisington, Kansas. Now, with over 500 credits to her name, Walgren is both one of the most used voice actors in the world, but she's also one of the lesser-known voice actors in the world. So if you've ever seen a cartoon, you have heard her voice, but she mostly plays characters like Newscaster Number 2 or Odd Little Girl. So just some of her Disney credits include Phineas and Ferb, Gravity Falls, Star Wars The Clone Wars, Avengers Assemble, Miles from Tomorrowland, The Lion Guard, DuckTales, Tangled Ever After, Tinkerbell and the Legend of the Neverbeast, Frozen 2, Onward, and WandaVision.
Those are just some of her credits, huh? Disney should really use her more.
Those are literally just some of her credits. Those are about half of her Disney credits. And as I said, she has over 500 voice acting credits out there.
That's the gig to have. You just stroll into that studio, you hop into that booth in your pajamas, no one cares what you look like, and you just talk.
It's just that simple, obviously.
It's basically the same way we record this podcast, only we're far less professional.
That's true. And I put on no pajamas because I cast in the nude.
Completely disregards any memo from HR.
Well, I am HR, so what am I going to report to myself?
That's where we really screwed ourselves over by giving you the title of HR, yeah.
Everything's been lost in the filing system. That's for sure. Well, happy birthday, Carrie Walgren. Moving on, 96 years ago, on July 13th, 1925, at 918 3rd Street in Lewiston, Idaho, home of Fire Chief Sid O. Bounds, Walter Elias Disney married Lillian Marie Bounds. Now, incidentally, Fire Chief Bounds was Lillian's brother. Walter and Lillian met when Lillian was hired in January 1924 in the ink and paint department at the Walt Disney Studios. The story goes that when the team had to work late, Walt would offer to drive people home, and regardless of who was in the car with them, Walt would always drop off Lillian last so he could spend more time with her. How adorable is that?
Speaking of HR issues.
It was not problematic, I promise you. A year and a half later, though, the two were married.
So sweet. Such a sweet, sweet story. I believe, too, for a short time, she served as his secretary. Is that right or no?
She did, yeah. After she started in the ink and paint department, she was also a stenographer, so she stepped in as Walt's secretary.
He gave her some dictation.
Oh, dear. Oh, my. He did indeed. Happy anniversary, Walt and Lillian. Oh, moving on because we simply have to. 131 years ago, on July 12th, 1895, inventor, designer, architect, and futurist, I want that to be my job title, Richard Buckminster Fuller was born in Milton, Massachusetts. Now, in the late 1940s, Fuller and his colleagues at Black Mountain College in North Carolina were looking for a solution for the housing crisis at the time, and Fuller came up with what is known today as a geodesic dome. Today, over 500,000 geodesic domes have been built around the world, including, of course, the completed geodesic sphere that makes up Spaceship Earth in Epcot. In fact, Richard Buckminster Fuller was the first to coin the phrase Spaceship Earth to address concern over the use of limited resources available to our planet.
Well, isn't that interesting?
Isn't it just? I really love that tidbit of information.
Do you think that Spaceship Earth is the world's most famous geodesic sphere?
I would have to believe it's at least, obviously, I think the most visited one in the world.
I want that for Spaceship Earth.
I believe it is true. Your dreams have come true.
And she's getting a bit of a refurb, Patrick. She's getting that new face put on for the 50th. All those beautiful lights added to the exterior. I can't wait to see that.
So exciting. I love seeing those little news clips that they've added more and more and more of those twinkling lights.
We'll never be able to outshine me, but give it a shot, Spaceship Earth.
Fair enough. And we thank you, Richard Buckminster Fuller, for your contribution.
We also thank you for your name, because that is quite the name.
It is quite the name. And, futurist, that needs to be in all of our job titles.
I'm more of a pacifist.
Oh, Tweedle's out there. Adam literally put his face into his palm after he said that, and we're keeping it in the episode.
My eye crossed just a little bit to get that out of my mouth. It was tough to say.
Oh, it was genius. It was the first funny thing you've said in a long time. I thank you for that. And with that, we are shutting the vault to this week in Disney history.
Thanks, as always, Patrick. And that means it's time to transition into the news. And in some cases, because we took a week off, some of it's olds.
It's true. Did you find yourself sort of biting your tongue a little bit with some of these amazing news stories that came out that we couldn't sort of report on them in the moment?
I was so drunk all week, Patrick.
That's fair. That is fair enough. I can't wait to hear your news stories.
Hey, Patrick.
Yas, Adam.
Boogie's back, all right.
You were drunk, weren't you, when you wrote this?
That's right. The Halloween season will once again come to life at the Disneyland Resort from September 3rd through October 31st, 2021. Guests will delight in the spooky fun of Halloween time at both Disneyland Park and Disney California Adventure Park. On 25 select nights, beginning September 9th through October 31st, the separate ticket after park hours event, Oogie Boogie Bash, a Disney Halloween party, returns to Disney California Adventure. At Oogie Boogie Bash, kids and guests of all ages can trick or treat their way through the park in their favorite Halloween costumes and encounter characters both spooky and fantastic. The limited capacity event features exclusive offerings like immersive treat trails, the Frightfully Fun Parade, Villains Grove at the Redwood Creek Challenge Trail, Mickey's Trick and Treat Show, and more. Tickets for Oogie Boogie Bash will go on sale beginning Tuesday, July 13th, 2021, no earlier than 9 a.m. Pacific Time. To purchase tickets and learn more, visit Disneyland.com/Oogie Boogie Bash. Patrick, we've been to Oogie Boogie Bash.
It is absolutely delightful. Listeners out there, if you're going, make sure that you do that Villains Trail. It is beautiful.
It really is such an immersive, beautiful experience. And also, drinks. You can walk around with drinks.
It's true. It's true. You know, the shocking part of this story, Adam, is that they're actually doing the Halloween party during the Halloween season.
It is weird. California, what's up with that?
Walt Disney World's, I believe, just started.
Also returning to DCA is Plaza de la Familia in Paradise Gardens from September 3rd through November 2nd, featuring a musical celebration of Coco, a dynamic street show honoring Disney and Pixar's Coco, and the everlasting bonds of family. Guests will also be treated to mariachi music at Paradise Gardens Bandstand, the World of Coco, an evocative art exhibit. Evocative. It sounds like it's going to be so sensual.
Just like our show.
Just like our show. I mean, I know it's not. We've seen it, but evocative. Come on, Disney. And also a photo opportunity with a hand-animated figure of Miguel from Coco. It's so cool, everyone. As well as the iconic, the iconic Arbol de la Vida, or the Tree of Life photo location and memory wall. Again, I just need to apologize for that. Halloween time will also see the return of Halloween, that's Haul in Cars Land, the Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout Overlay Monsters After Dark, and seasonal decor on Buena Vista Street, including the eerily iconic and highly Instagrammable 10-foot-tall statue of the Headless Horseman. Moving over to Disneyland, Haunted Mansion Holiday, the Haunted Mansion overlay inspired by Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, returns for Halloween time. On Main Street, guests will be greeted by the familiar grin of the Mickey Mouse Jack-o'-lantern and the cleverly carved pumpkins of the Main Street Pumpkin Festival. Disney characters will be photo ready in their Halloween best, and every night, Patrick, from September 3rd through October 31st in Walt Disney's original park, you will enjoy a dreadfully delightful treat in the form of Halloween Screams, a supernatural projection and special effects show, and on weekend nights, Halloween Screams will take to the skies and enhance the mischief with fireworks. So many offerings at Disneyland Resort during Halloween time, Patrick.
So many offerings, and offerings that you don't have to attend the party to see. You can just experience some of those Halloween offerings, whereas in Disney World, you sort of have to attend the party to really get into the Halloween season there.
Yeah, otherwise it's just pumpkins on Main Street.
Kind of. Yeah, that's true. As we get further and further away from the year that shall not be named and closer to the Walt Disney World 50th anniversary, more and more of Walt Disney World is coming back online. Starting with something I will be visiting immediately on my next trip, Casey's Corner is back up and running in the Magic Kingdom. Once again, guests can stuff their faces with corn dog nuggets before barfing them up on Space Mountain. No apparent changes have been made to the menu or the restaurant itself. However, they are currently operating with mobile order only. Moving on, a few fan-favorite resorts have been given opening dates, and once they are, all Disney World resorts will once again be up and running. The Polynesian Resort will open on July 19th, 2021, and earlier this week, incidentally, Ohana within the resort is once again serving guests. It should be noted that the monorail station at the Polynesian is still not completed. Moving on, All-Star Music Resort will open on September 16th, 2021. Port Orleans Riverside will open on October 14th. Port Orleans French Quarter will open on October 28th. And All-Star Sports will open on December 9th. Speaking of resorts, Disney announced that beginning on October 1st, 2021, Disney resort guests will be able to take advantage of early park entry at each of the 4 theme parks. No details yet on how early guests will be able to enter the park, but they must have a park reservation for that park in order to take advantage. This offer will be for guests of any of the Disney resorts. Guests staying at a deluxe Disney resort will have an additional benefit of extra evening hours. Again, no details yet on how late the park will be open, but you must have a park reservation for that park or have hopped to that park after entering the park for which you had the original park reservation, if that makes any sense at all. Interestingly, Disney has been intentional so far in not calling this extra magic hours, and they have not given any more details other than the start date of October 1st. If you're hungry for more news with very little information, Disney has also announced that the very popular dining packages will be returning. But of course, no date has been set for the rollout and no word on if changes will be made to the tiering system that was in place before. Now, I'll be rounding out the final lap of this news story, Adam. As we announced 2 weeks ago, a return of Run Disney was circling the rumor mill, and it's officially official. Run Disney in-person events are returning, and sooner than expected. Kicking off the 2021-2022 season, the Run Disney Wine and Dine weekend will be back this November 2021, with a 5K on November 5th, a 10K on November 6th, and a half marathon on November 7th. The weekend will once again feature Disney villains as the theme, though this will officially be the first time the villains theme will happen on Disney property. As last year, of course, the event went virtual. The evil queen Rebecca from Snow White will be featured at the 5K, Jack Skellington and Oogie Boogie at the 10K, Yzma and Kronk for the half marathon, and Ursula will represent the 10K half marathon 2-course challenge. Also, this year, the Wine and Dine post-race party will be held on the evening of November 7th. Anyone participating in the half marathon or the 2-course challenge will receive a ticket to the event. For anyone else wishing to join, tickets will be $89. Registration for the weekend is open now for Club Run Disney Gold and Platinum members. General registration will be open on July 13th, and anyone unable to or uncomfortable with joining the in-person event can sign up for a virtual run starting on July 6th. Returning in 2022, the ever-popular Run Disney Marathon Weekend will be held from January 5th through the 9th with the 5K, 10K, half marathon, full marathon, Goofy Race and a Half, and the popular Dopey Challenge. No word yet on which characters will be featured for the event, but registration for the race will open on July 20th for Club Run Disney Gold and Platinum members. General registration will be available on July 27th, and virtual race registration will open on July 30th. The Princess Half Marathon Weekend will also be returning February 24th through the 27th. And as we reported a while back, the Star Wars Weekend will not be returning this season. Instead, it will be replaced by what Disney is calling the Run Disney Springtime Surprise Weekend. Wrap your mind around that title. The event takes place March 31st through April 3rd. According to the website, the theme is a mystery, and apparently it will be different every year. In fact, there is no information on the website about what races will be available or when registration will be open, which seems like a very clever way of saying we do not have it figured out just yet. But we all know I love a mystery pack, so I will for sure be signing up. A few things to note about the new Run Disney season. As of right now, the annual pass holders and DVC members will not be getting an early registration option, which I have some things to say about, but I'll hold my tongue. Also to note, Disney has been very careful not to mention anything about characters on the course or at the Wine and Dine after party, and they have not released any information about what capacity will look like, so stay tuned for more details.
Very interesting. So some changes coming to Run Disney. You know, I always thought that the Star Wars Rival Run weekend was very popular, and maybe it was. Maybe Disney's just deciding to change things up and freshen things up.
Yeah, I think you're right. It was very popular. It was, I think, one other than the Marathon Weekend, the most populated event. So I'm not sure why they took it away. I wonder if they're just sort of running out of gas when it comes to Star Wars, or if they just wanted more of a character experience. Who can say? Who can say?
Well, that was a lot of information about Run Disney, but I'm so excited for you and the rest of the Run Disney community. I know you've been waiting and waiting and waiting and hoping, and finally it sounds like things are going to be racing in the right direction, Patrick.
Look what you did there. Look what you did. Yeah, it is very exciting. There's a lot of buzz in the Run Disney community right now. People are mixed about this. They're very happy about the return, but a little trepidatious about the return as well, which is, rightfully so.
Can I just jump back to the Casey's Corner story for a second?
Yes, please.
This occurred to me while you were relaying the news. Do we need like a t-shirt that says, "I love Casey's nugs in my mouth" or something like that?
Keep those nugs away from my face.
As fans of live theater know, the pandemic truly took its toll on Broadway. And in honor of the remarkable support that the Actors Fund has provided to members of the entertainment industry throughout the pandemic, and to celebrate the reopening of the Disney-owned New Amsterdam Theater, Disney announced last week that it will be presenting 4 unforgettable live performances featuring some of Disney on Broadway's brightest stars. Patrick and I were not asked to perform. I don't get it. Whatever.
Well, that won't stop us from performing, though.
That's right. We'll be there. We will take over that show. Live at the New Am, a benefit concert for the Actors Fund will take place on July 22nd through July 24th at 7:30 p.m. and on July 25th at 2 o'clock p.m. and will feature some of the most beloved hit songs from Disney's Broadway shows as performed by, get this lineup everybody, Ashley Brown from Mary Poppins, Michael James Scott from Aladdin, Kissy Simmons from The Lion King, and Josh Strickland from Tarzan. Take off your shirt, Josh. During the pandemic, the Actors Fund provided more than 16,450 entertainment professionals with grants totaling more than $22 million just since the shutdown last March 2020. That represents a remarkable increase of more than 1,000% over its typical grant support prior to the pandemic. With the health and safety of guests, cast musicians, and crew a top priority, all guests entering the theater for Live at the New Am will be required to provide proof of vaccination. Hooray, Disney. Proud of you for that. Guests under the age of 12 must be accompanied by a vaccinated adult. For more information, please visit disneyonbroadway.com/live-at-the-new-am/health and safety. Tickets for Live at the New Am, a benefit concert for the Actors Fund, are on sale now. They're probably already sold out. I don't know. Tickets ranging in price from $79.50 to $99.50 are available now, maybe through Ticketmaster, and a special virtual lottery for $47.50 balcony tickets is available through Broadway Direct. For more information, to purchase tickets, maybe, or to enter the virtual lottery, please visit disneyonbroadway.com/live-at-the-new-am.
Exciting.
Very, very exciting. I'm wondering if they're just going to kind of lift material from the Disney on Broadway concert series at the Festival of the Arts and kind of expand upon it for these performances.
Sure, that sounds reasonable. I would be very excited to see Ashley Brown. She's amazing. Amazing.
She really is. This entire cast, so talented, so attractive. I really hate them.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad at Josh Strickland's body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The Disney Dreamers Academy is back and in person. Tweedles may remember the class of 2020 had their experience cut short, who can say why, and then they transitioned into a virtual experience. The Academy was then put on hold for a bit, again, who can say why, but the newest class will be back in session on Walt Disney World property in March 2022. 100 students aged 13 to 19 will be selected to take part in a 4-day event designed to motivate, inspire, and prepare them to dream big. Students will have the opportunity to meet guest speakers, network with Disney employees, and participate in career-themed activities like animation, journalism, entrepreneurship, culinary arts, and zoology. In previous years, thousands of applications were submitted, but of course only 100 students are accepted each year. Disney specifically looks for students who display the following attributes: intellectual curiosity, compassion, courage, a positive outlook, a generous spirit, and optimism about the future. Now, clearly, neither Adam nor I have any of those qualities, but if you or someone you know might be a good fit, head on over to DisneyDreamersAcademy.com to learn more and to apply. Applications are being accepted right now through October 31st, 2021.
But if they ever announce a Disney's Slackers Academy.
Yeah, we're holding the first ever Gaze to the D Academy, and qualities include healthy curiosity of alcohol.
Healthy.
And a tendency to start 10 minutes behind schedule.
Also, is there like a naps course? Naps. I love naps.
There is. That's part of the health and well-being is naps.
Last Tuesday, Disneyland Paris announced that it was retiring the resort's free Fast Pass system and replacing it with Premier Access as part of digital enhancements on the Disneyland Paris app. Premier Access, which is similar to an offering at Shanghai Disneyland, will debut this summer at Disneyland Paris and will cost guests €8 to €15 per ride. That's $9 to $18 in US dollars. Like FastPass, Disney Premier Access will allow guests to skip the regular standby queue for attractions. Initial attractions will include Big Thunder Mountain, Hyperspace Mountain, Peter Pan's Flight, Buzz Lightyear Laser Blast, Star Tours, Autopia, why? Twilight Zone Tower of Terror, and Ratatouille. A free option, Standby Pass, will also be offered and available during select times of the day. Standby Pass will allow guests to join the queue during a 30-minute time slot subject to availability and is said to help reduce wait times at some of the more popular attractions. Reactions, as you can imagine, have been negative, and rumors are rampant, Patrick, that the domestic parks are likely to follow with some kind of per-ride paid access system. Patrick, we kind of talked about this several weeks ago, and now Disneyland Paris is fully leaning into it. How you feeling about it?
I think it's garbage. I full on think it's garbage.
Don't hold back, please.
Oh, I won't. I also take umbrage to the fact that you have a rumor and did not say, rumor has it.
Well, some of us do things one way and some of us do things another way, and we'll let the Tweedles decide which they prefer. You know what, Tweedles? Don't even start. I know who you prefer. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Fair
enough. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm not on board with this. I kind of just think they should. Now, this is just my uneducated self talking here. Get rid of it. Get rid of fast passes altogether. I think that there's something a lot more mentally healthy and beautiful about a Disney trip when you're not scheduling your day to the minute. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. I think that sounds great. Unfortunately, we're dealing with a giant company
Yeah.
that wants to make that money, Patrick.
I know. It's just so silly to pay more money to go on a ride in a park that you've already paid money to get into.
Do you think that the domestic parks are considering this? I mean, obviously they're going to be watching Disneyland Paris and kind of analyzing not only guest reaction, but the profits, I would imagine. Do you think that Walt Disney World and Disneyland are like, maybe?
I think they very much want to. I think it was smart for them to start it out in Disneyland Paris, which tends to be a little less populated than the other parks around the world. So that's a smart starting place or a testing ground for it. And we all know that the Disney Genie app apparently is still coming out, and that likely will have a pass system involved with it. So who knows what they're doing, but they want to make more money. That's for sure. What
current ride in either Walt Disney World or Disneyland would you pay $20 to skip the line for?
Casey's Corner.
That's not a ride.
Oh, isn't it though? It's an emotional roller coaster for me. Oh, hello, Adam.
Oh, no.
I tried.
I want to support you in every single thing you do in your life, but that's a no from me, Patrick.
Spasiba. Is that how you say thank you?
Hello, Patrick. Hello.
That was something you also responded with. Thank you for that.
We're both trash.
We're garbage people. Do you have any Russian heritage, Adam?
I would love to have some Russian heritage. You know what? I actually took a class in college, fascinating, called Russia in the 20th Century. But the professor, whose name was Alexis Pogorelskin, get that?
Yeah.
She actually kind of went back in the history to like the origins of the Gulag, and it was just really, really fascinating. So I love Russian history because it's so dark and disturbing.
It's a rough history Russia has. It's bonkers. I am not Russian as well. Ukrainian, which is kind of the same, but not quite. Russians and Ukrainians will fight to the death to that. That's for sure.
That's right. So you're Russian adjacent.
I am Russian adjacent indeed. I just missed that hammer and sickle.
Well, you have those soft hands. You're not a worker. You're more of an artiste.
I'm not as much a worker as I am a drinker, you know? I really like the after work happy hour. That's what I go to.
Vodka.
There it is. That's true. Boy, we are on a history lesson today, but we are in fact talking about the newly released MCU Phase 4 Black Widow, which just came out this past weekend.
That's right. You can see it in the theaters, or you can catch it on Disney Plus with Premier Access.
You sure can. There's that Premier Access phrase, again, that Disney is very fond of lately.
They love it. It's about $30 if you want to buy it on Disney Plus. But hey, if two of you go to the theater, what's that? That's about $30.
Did you see it in theater, or did you watch it on the Premier Access?
I still have not been back to a movie theater, so I did it from the comfort of my home.
Good for you. I actually went to the theater to see this movie with our good friends Ben and Amanda.
Well, if there's one movie to see on the big screen, this would be it.
This was it. What an action-packed film. What a great movie. I'm already giving away what I think about it. We haven't even started yet. I really enjoyed it. I think I was just in need of something action-packed lately.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think we're going to have very similar feelings and thoughts about the movie. A really kind of interesting take on a Marvel film in that, yes, action-packed for sure, but then in the middle of it, tucked away, a little Eugene O'Neill play.
Oh, it's true. It's very, very true. That is such a good analogy for it. Yeah, for sure. It was like the Bourne Ultimatum meets August Osage County.
Yes, perfect. Long day's journey into fight.
Oh, that's an award-winning play right there. Well done, sir. Well done. Well, let's just dive into it. Let's get into it, shall we? Tweedles, we are, of course, doing our spoiler-free review of the new movie Black Widow. So don't hesitate to listen to this episode if you have not seen the movie. We won't be spoiling anything really. More so just celebrating what we liked and maybe giving some clues as to what maybe didn't work for us. Just sort of talking about our feelings about this movie.
There is a chance, we should say, that we might spoil things that have happened in other Marvel movies. Maybe just.
Sure. Yeah, we may say things that have already happened in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, things you may have already seen in the previews, for sure. So we can't be held responsible if you haven't seen anything prior to this movie, but we won't give away any major plot twists of this movie.
Black Widow's dead.
Fair. That's fair.
Do we all know that? We all saw Endgame, right? I hope so.
I mean, if you haven't, that's, shame on you. Shame on you for having not seen it. That was something that was really sticking in my mind while I watched this movie, knowing what happens to Black Widow and sort of unpuzzling her reasoning behind her decision there. It was it was a fascinating sort of expose on what happened prior to that moment.
Yeah, and also kind of blanketed the film in kind of a maudlin, not in a bad way, but like just because you knew what her future was. It's so interesting now to go into her past and like reflect on who she is as a person and as a superhero.
It's kind of how I'm watching Loki right now because we know what happened to Loki and we're sort of trying to figure out what happened prior to that and what may happen to him in the future. Who knows? Yeah,
absolutely. Marvel's so good at playing with time. And in this instance, it's more of kind of like a literal take on time in that we're jumping back to the past, whereas Loki's all over the place in an absolutely wonderful mess. But yeah, this is a great kind of jump back into Black Widow's past.
Well, before we really dive into this movie, should we give sort of a synopsis of what the film's about and then talk about the creators for a smidge and then really get into it?
You've laid out a beautiful blueprint for this segment, Patrick.
I like to think of it as a red print for this movie.
Oh, man, you nailed that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Adam, what is the synopsis of this film?
You bitch. You just threw that back at me like you do it now. No, okay, so what are we talking about? We're talking about Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, which also happens to be the title of this very movie. As we all know, was trained to be kind of an operative for the KGB in this very secretive program. But then, as we all know, historically accurate, Patrick, the USSR breaks up. I was alive for it. It happened. Yes. And she escapes from that life, from that very kind of regimented, essentially she was brainwashed, right? I mean, let's face it. She was brainwashed, very sad. And she, of course, went on to join the Avengers. But before that was working as a freelance operative. And as we've seen throughout all of the Avengers movies and really all of the MCU movies where she popped in and out, she's had this very kind of interesting role in that, yes, she is a superhero, but she's also kind of had this role of therapist at times, romantic love interest at other times. Like, she's never really been that well defined, but this movie takes us back to after Captain America Civil War, or actually kind of during it a little bit too, and before Avengers Infinity War. I know I'm going on here, but there's a lot to explain. And anyway, Natasha is reunited with her KGB family, and they go on a major mission.
That's right. Hijinks ensue.
That is actually how the story writers pitched it. This is really a movie about hijinks.
Yeah. It's a family buddy cop kind of situation that's happening here.
Yeah. So everybody clear now? I mean, that was pretty much the most brilliant synopsis of Black Widow's story.
Yeah, really succinct. That's for sure.
Thank you so much.
No, the character of Black Widow, pardon the pun, is a tangled web, right? Like she is all over the map with who is she working for? How did she get here? She defects a lot. She sort of changes with the wind, really, of what feels good and what feels right in her heart.
Yeah, she's a mess of a human being. And rightly so, because she was tormented, she was tortured, she was brainwashed. She doesn't know who she can trust. So there's some real issues there that really haven't been explored in the Marvel movies up until this movie.
Yeah, I must say, I almost felt like this movie needed to come with a trigger warning about what happened to her and her sister and her family in the sense of abuse and in the sense of neglect and putting women down. It's really, there's some horrific things that happen in this movie that I was like, oh man, this is triggering for sure.
Yeah, I think a lot of women will be able to relate to Natasha's story and the trauma she experienced at the hands of powerful men.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. There's a lot of trauma that we're dealing with in this movie. Well, let's dive into sort of the production crew behind the movie. A lot of newcomers, actually, if that can be said. I mean, the people behind the film are really good at what they do and have produced some amazing pieces before this movie, but not a lot of credits to their name.
Yeah, a lot of people affiliated with more independent films, although there are some people affiliated with blockbusters as well. But this is kind of like Marvel's little Sundance entry.
I like it. I'm here for it. Well, let's start off with the director. We have Kate Shortland, who is relatively a newish director, mostly known for Somersault, Lore, and Berlin Syndrome.
Scarlett Johansson is a fan of her work, and Scarlett Johansson is an executive producer on the film, and I know it was important for her not only to have a female director, but also to have a director whose work she was inspired by. And so that is how Kate was brought into this project. Scarlett is a big fan.
Yeah, I believe Scarlett Johansson had a lot to do with how this movie was made and who was involved with it. And it kind of shows, really. I mean, it's a movie that's going to showcase her, and she wanted to make sure that she had a team behind her that she really trusted.
The story is by Jack Schaefer, who was the head writer for WandaVision. Also wrote The Hustle, and inexplicably, Olaf's Frozen Adventure fits right in with those other two.
Olaf, he's a fighter, don't you think?
Also tormented by the KGB, yeah.
It's true. The trauma behind Olaf.
A lot of dark nights spent on the Russian tundra.
It fits. It really fits. Ned Benson was also part of the Story by team. Ned Benson is mostly known for a lot of indie things, specifically the disappearance of Eleanor Rigby.
Which I did not see, but that was the movie where it was like two different movies, right? Like there was her side of the story and his side?
Yeah, I think there were 4 parts of it.
Oh, God. Who can be bothered?
Who can even be bothered?
I'm sure it's wonderful. Thank you for your service, Ned. The screenplay for Black Widow was by Eric Pearson, who was a writer for Agent Carter, Thor Ragnarok, and Godzilla vs. Kong.
That gem of a movie.
Truly, I do not know if I was just like exhausted by the pandemic, but I enjoyed it. I was entertained at least.
I was not. I was over it. But I did. As you know, we both love Thor Ragnarok.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is peak Chris Hemsworth as Thor.
It's true. It's very true. But that movie in and of itself is maybe one of my favorite, if not my favorite, of the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies.
That Taika Waititi, I tell you what.
I'll tell you what. What a great screenplay, though. I really enjoyed the story and the script.
Very well written, great family dynamics written into the script, and wonderful playful moments that all of the actors get to participate in.
Also, a lot of the action sequences were really, really well done and well written, I have to say. I caught myself during this movie thinking, what a hard task that must be to write an action sequence in which there are very few words.
Yeah, that must be really interesting to kind of convey the amount of action that needs to take place in a scene and what needs to happen at any given moment. I'm assuming choreographers are brought in to kind of beef up those scenarios and help the writers really truly get their vision across.
It was funny to think about, did the writer right in here. She opens the car door and it's hit by another car, and that car door slams into something else. Like, how specific is it in a script where we get all those action sequences and themes?
Excellent point. Regardless, if you're into this, there's a lot of sister-on-sister action in this movie, and it means something completely different in Gays Do the D world.
Oh, boy. I took a swig of coffee and almost spit it out when you said that. Oh, dear. Well, speaking of, let's just get into that sister-on-sister action. Boy, oh, boy, do we get a fantastic new character in this movie.
We certainly do. William Hurt returns as Secretary Ross.
Oh, you're on fire today, Adam. You're just cracking me up left and right.
No, of course, Patrick is talking about the amazing Florence Pugh, who plays Natasha's sister, Yelena.
Yes, absolutely. I'm going to say this, and people are going to come at me for it, but
just
what
say it, Patrick, because everyone is saying it.
What a breakout performance is what I was going to say, first of all. But I know this was not her first performance ever. In fact, she was nominated for an Academy Award for her performance in Little Women. But this role, I mean, is really, I think, going to put her even more so on the map. And here's what I think you were going to say. Boy, did she outshine Scarlett Johansson.
I don't want to say it. I really don't, because I feel like ScarJo, and really all of us who are fans of ScarJo and of Black Widow and the MCU, have been wanting this film and have been wanting Black Widow to have her moment. But gosh darn it, Florence Pugh, you came in and you stole the show, and you did an excellent job of it from ScarJo.
Really and truly, really and truly. In fact, I believe because of her performance, because it was so good, as they were filming, they sort of altered her character and showcased her a lot more in the movie than was originally intended. And they decided to, this is kind of a spoiler alert, but they're going to give her more in the cinematic universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because of what she did in this movie.
Yeah, we said no spoilers, but that was a spoiler because we know she's appearing in Hawkeye.
Yeah, it's true. But I think that's out there. That's already out there right now. So we didn't break it.
And that's not to say that Scarlett Johansson isn't wonderful in this film, because she's serving her Black Widow best. But Florence is a star. She's a star, and she shines in this film. She's wonderful.
She's wonderful. She's wonderful. Yeah, Scarlett Johansson did an excellent job. It's such a complicated character, though. Do you know what I mean? There's so many levels and nuances to Black Widow, and she really pulls all of those strings, I feel like. It's a great character, but this new character, Yelena Belova, is just so good. It's such a delicious character that it was hard not to just keep your eyes on her the entire time.
Yeah, and it's not a Scarlett Johansson issue. It's more of a script issue. The way that Yelena's written, she's just a more fun, engaging, interesting character.
Agreed. Speaking of which, we also have that in David Harbour's performance as their father, Alexei.
Would you hit that?
I would hit it. I would punch it. I would tap it. I would kick it. All the things. David Harbour is
a man.
Is a man. Yeah, I hate that. I hate saying that, but I mean, he's what masculinity looks like.
But there's also a warmth there too. Like, you can tell in interviews that he does that he is very thoughtful and he's so engaging and charming. So there's that wrapped up in the fact that he's kind of like this hulking, giant-handed, hairy man.
Yeah, he is quintessentially a gentle giant, really. He is an enormous person, but he is so funny and he is so nuanced and so soft, and his character was so good. In the hands of somebody else, I don't know it would have been as likable as he was.
Patrick, do you listen to the podcast Keep It?
I've heard it. I've heard a few episodes, but I'm not a religious listener.
It's affiliated with Crooked Media, who do Pod Save America, et cetera, et cetera. And he appeared on Keep It a couple of weeks ago. If you have a chance, check out that interview, because he is such a fascinating guy, and you really get a sense of his personality and what he was able to bring to this role. Because you're right, if it was left in the hands of someone else, it may not have been pulled off so successfully, because Alexei is very bombastic and full of himself, and it could have gotten very annoying very quickly. But man, in the giant hands of David Harbour, it was a win.
Agreed. I was thinking as I was watching it, it very well could have gone the way of Patrick Warburton in The Tick, though I love that character, but it would not have worked for this character.
For sure. And this is a stacked cast, because we keep mentioning all these wonderful performances. And on top of all of this, we have freaking Rachel Weisz.
We do indeed. She plays the mother figure in this movie, Milena.
So we've got Scarlett Johansson, we've got Florence Pugh, we've got David Harbour and Rachel Weisz as this family unit, and their dynamic. There's this wonderful scene where they're all at a dinner table together, and it is magic.
I could have watched that scene for about another hour and a half. I think that they are all so delightful together. They have really good, this is going to sound silly to say, but they have really good chemistry. I know I hate that phrase when people say it. It's such an actor-y thing to say, but they really do. It was electric watching them all in one room together.
And it's important you bring that up, too, because as I mentioned at the top of this segment, it's right in the middle of this action-packed movie. Things get relatively quiet, and we get to see this family dynamic now with them as adults, because we do see them as a family when the girls are quite young. But now we get to see how, after these two girls are basically abandoned, how the relationship has developed or has not developed since that moment. So it's really a fascinating moment and a great little kind of reprieve in the middle of a very action-heavy movie.
I think Marvel, in Disney's hands, is really good with that in the cinematic universe so far. They're really good at giving that juxtaposition between heavy action and family drama as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's what they've done so successfully for so long and continue to do so well even in this new phase.
And it's important work, I think, for them because you really need to care about these characters to keep you invested for so long. I mean, we've been with these characters for 20 years now, basically, and there's a reason. It's because they invest so heavily in keeping you interested in the well-being of our heroes.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
Here's my question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm asking it because I have a clear answer in my head. Were you or are you a fan of Rachel Weisz before this movie?
I was. I mean, I love Rachel in The Mummy, and I absolutely loved her in The Favorite, which came out in 2018 with Emma Stone. I loved that movie as well.
Fair enough. I have to say, I did not love her in The Mummy. I've never really been a huge Rachel Weisz fan. I did start to love her in The Favorite. That's when I really started to come around to Rachel Weisz. I don't know what it is about her, but I really exceptionally loved her in this movie.
Is it because you hate a fuller eyebrow?
That's not it at all. I applaud a full eyebrow.
No, I can see what you're saying. I'll say I wasn't a fan of her accent in this movie. I couldn't quite place it, and I don't know if she came to set and she was like, I'm going to do a Siberian accent that's just east of the river Kurblask, and that's the accent I want to do, and it was so specific and I just couldn't land on it, or if it just wasn't quite there.
Well, I think I'll go on a limb and say I think that's just always been true of her. She's never been really good at accent work, and yet she's often in films in which she has to use an accent of some kind. It kind of fades in and out sometimes, you know what I mean?
Damn, Patrick, drag her.
I'm sorry, I am a little bit. That being said, I didn't hate it in this movie because I was so engaged by what she was doing with her stillness, if that makes sense. She was surrounded by people who are very heavy action stars, and there was something lovely to see in her where she just sort of took everything in mentally, and you saw that she was calculated in what she was doing. Yeah.
I would like to add that her English accent is absolute trash.
It's garbage. It's really garbage.
No, I get what you're saying. She is a very kind of more nuanced type of actor, which was such a great contrast to David Harbour's character in this movie. It's why they were so successful as a couple.
Yeah. She serves face and he serves body.
And face and giant hands.
Giant, a lot of things, I imagine. You know?
Who else from the cast really kind of popped for you?
The whole cast really did. The ensemble in general was just such a good machine of a team that was working together. I really loved and wanted more of the character Mason. He's a beautiful man. I'm going to butcher his name. O.T. I don't know how to say it. Is it?
Say it like it's spelled, Patrick.
Fag Benley?
Let's go with that. Fag Benley.
Oh, do we have to censor that? I don't really know.
No, he's a beautiful man, and he was a great... Again, They always, in the Marvel movies, obviously, find someone for Scarlett Johansson to play off with and kind of have a flirtation with. And that was his role in this movie. He was kind of like a fixer and a provider of things that she needed. And he also provided her with some chemistry, some little flirtation action.
Yeah, I would let him provide a lot of things to me, that's for sure. A lot of our Tweedles may remember his performance in The Handmaid's Tale. That's sort of what put him on the map, and he's so good in that as well. He's just a really lovely person to watch. I really enjoyed him.
I heard he smells like a leather-bound book.
I hope so.
Yeah, no, he was really great. Huge cast. I mean, there are so many ensemble members in this cast, but it really comes down to that core four, that family, that familial dynamic that we see in this movie, played by Scarlett Johansson, Florence Pugh, Rachel Weisz, and David Harbour. They are truly the core of this film.
I will say Ray Winstone as Dreykov. Boy, what a villain. What a villain to hate. And he did such an exceptional job at making you hate him, really, in this movie.
Yeah, serving Bond villain vibes, right?
Very Bond villain vibes. He was almost unrecognizable in this role. He is a very handsome man. And I don't know if it was his performance or the makeup or the costuming or all of it put together, but he just sort of morphed into this gross person. Do you know what I mean?
I do that every time I join a Zoom call.
No makeup needed. No makeup needed.
No, he was a great villain, and you so easily hated him and wanted Scarlett Johansson to destroy him.
Destroy him. It's interesting that you said Bond, because this movie actually felt very much like a Bond movie. It was very in that regard of the Bond universe, the Bourne universe as well.
Yep, a lot of locations. It kind of jumps around the globe, and I was shocked to learn that they actually went to all of those locations. At the end of the film, I was seeing Morocco, Budapest, or Budapest, depending on how you pronounce it. So they jumped around the globe, and it does have that kind of Bond feeling in the sense that they're trying to bring down an organization, which happens so often in the Bond films.
Yeah, for sure. They kind of needed to, though, I feel like, for this film, because those places are so specific and have such a unique look and feel to them, that if they had built a set, it wouldn't have felt right, I feel like.
I don't know. The Morocco Pavilion in Epcot is right there.
They did, fun fact, film a lot of scenes in the Morocco Pavilion in Epcot. You'll recognize that tangerine tree for sure in a lot of scenes.
Patrick, one thing I want to bring up that we talk about so often, I mean, at this point, it's almost embarrassing how often we talk about it, but the music in this film is exceptional. As with almost all of the MCU movies, right? The scores are wonderful and really add to the action or the more kind of moving moments. And what's so great about Black Widow is we have this history with her, and so therefore we get not only the Avengers theme, we have a Black Widow theme, and then we have this brand new score written by Lorne Belfi?
Balky? Is it Balky?
Belky Bartakamus. But the score, Patrick, incorporates that kind of dark, orchestral, choral Russian vibe you would come to expect in a movie that had Russian elements to it.
For sure. It was a really interesting blend of that, what you just said, and also the Marvel score that we're so used to hearing. It was sort of an undertone throughout the movie. It wasn't hitting you over the head with that those melodic tones that we know from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. They gave it, a pardon the pun, a Russian twist. I would also say I'd give a call out to the costuming in this movie. It was actually really beautiful and gave a lot of nods to the comic book Black Widow as well. A lot of the Widow's outfits were sort of incorporated in what Black Widow used to look like. And so that was fun to see.
So now that we've kind of talked about the cast and the creative elements behind the film and kind of our feelings peppered in about how we felt during certain moments and aspects of the film, do you feel this is a proper send-off for the character Black Widow?
Interesting you should say that. I don't know that I would use the word send-off for this movie. It almost felt like a catapult into what we can maybe expect of a Black Widow, if that makes sense.
Or a show called The Widows, maybe?
Sure, yeah, I can absolutely see that for sure. It was definitely sort of a love letter to the character and to her past, and I feel like it opened a lot of doors and a lot of potential, and so I thought it was successful in that regard, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I also appreciated that they left some questions there. They left things open-ended, like, we don't need everything explained with this character, and that's kind of what makes this character so fascinating, right? Is that we don't really fully understand her past. We don't fully understand every single reference she makes to things that have happened in her past. So I like that they didn't feel the need to like wrap everything up in a pretty little bow.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think what's unique and special about Black Widow is that she is so hidden and secretive. Even though this movie was about her, we didn't get like a roadmap to what made her necessarily. We saw where she came from for sure. We get some questions answered, but I don't think we need to know every little detail about her. That's what keeps the character so interesting, is those mysteries behind her.
I wish, though, that there would have been more of an emotional moment for her. And I guess that comes down the road further during Endgame. You know, like during Endgame, you were sitting next to me, Patrick. I was an absolute mess. I was crying the entire time, like from the moment the film started to the end. But because she dies in that film and sacrifices herself in such a meaningful way, it was so moving that I wanted some kind of moving moment for her in this film too. But maybe that's not the point. The point was that this movie bridges two very important films in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and gives us more of a look at Natasha.
I understand what you're saying. I also was looking for that moment in which you go, now I understand why she made that decision in Endgame. Sort of what led her to go, you know what? This is my time. You know what I mean? I feel like I needed that moment to go to really understand that. I know I'm contradicting myself in saying I don't need the details, but that was one detail I sort of was hungry for.
And just to give Scarlett her moment or her flowers, as they say, you know, to let her have that kind of emotional peak in this film that we didn't really get. And maybe that was my bad because I was projecting a moment. I was hoping for this moment in this film that just never was delivered.
And who knows, maybe we'll still get that. There's still more story to tell, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I think she's like, bye, I'm going to go have Colin Jost's baby.
That lucky woman.
Seriously.
I do love Colin Jost, that's for sure.
So many like frat boy fantasies.
Where are we? Where am I right now?
The kind of double polo popped collar situation.
Okay. All right. Let's shift and talk about him for a while. Well, it sounds like this movie was a success for both of us. I mentioned earlier that this was part of Phase 4 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Interestingly, it was supposed to be the very first project in Phase 4 to be released for Marvel, but of course, due to the pandemic and the later release date, WandaVision actually beat it to the punch. And without giving any spoilers, we were supposed to have been introduced to a certain character in this movie that would then make an appearance later on in one of the Disney Plus series without spoiling it, which would have officially really kicked us into Phase 4 of the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, this finished filming in October 2019, if that gives you a sense of how long we've been waiting for this movie. I think it was originally supposed to come out like in the spring of 2020.
I think actually March. I think March was the original release date for 2020, and it just kept getting pushed and pushed and pushed.
Fortunately for us, it was worth the wait, at least in our opinion, and really delivers. You know, yes, there are those classic kind of MCU tropes that we see again and again. You know, there's mass destruction and huge action sequences, but there really is a great kind of through line underneath all of that running through this film that is very thoughtful and very meaningful in the sense that you learn more about this character that we've had for, over a decade now in the MCU films that we hadn't really known that much about before.
That's true. I've said it before, and I'll keep saying it. The Black Widow is such a unique character for Marvel. She's so complex and she's so layered, and there's so much we don't know about her. Interestingly, this movie took some big swings with the character of Black Widow when it came to her comic book character, specifically around the character of Alexei, who played her father in this movie, whereas in the comic books, she was actually married to him instead. But I think it was a successful change. I'm usually not super into when they make really big drastic changes like that, of like completely altering a relationship, but it worked. It made sense in this movie. I think it helped the storyline. It helped her. It helped really define her a little bit and in giving her a family unit. Whereas she's always been known as sort of a rogue character, really, who sort of ran away from family instead.
Yeah, the Black Widow we know from the MCU is more of a loner, and her relationships are always kind of undefined. So it's more fun to see her as part of a family than to see her in a relationship with the Red Guardian.
Yeah, for sure. Which was also fun. It was fun those little nuggets that he dropped about his relationship with Captain America, which is an interesting storyline that he has in the comic books as well, a sort of one-upmanship with Captain America.
Yeah, great little comedy bits there, great little comedy bits with Florence and Scarlet and their sisterly dynamic. It just really delivered not only in humor, but also heart.
I like it. I really like that. Yeah, I think this movie is one of those success stories in that people who are fans of just the cinematic universe of Marvel are going to like this, and people who are really hardcore comic book fans of Black Widow will still really like this as well. I think they gave a good tribute to the character of Black Widow.
They did, and it's so special to see a superhero movie that is led by women. And that's absolutely what this is. I mean, women are large and in charge in Black Widow.
It's very true. There's actually very few men in this movie.
Very few and very hot. Yes.
That's how we like them. That's how we like our Marvel men. Few and hot.
Well, we would love to know your thoughts on Marvel's Black Widow. Did you enjoy the film as much as we did? Or are there elements of the film that didn't really speak to you? You can, of course, reach out to us on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast.
Or you can always leave us an email or a voice memo at info@gaysdothed.com.
Is there anything from the movie, Patrick, that was really difficult for you not to bring up or spoil?
Yeah, I think David Harbour's nude scene was really hard for me. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't that in the extended cut?
I want to see his extended cut. You know what I'm saying?
I set you up for that one.
I'm David harboring a lot of feelings for him.
Hey, Patrick.
Hey, Adam.
It's the Best of Quick D, Volume 2.
You are setting us up for failure.
No, as everyone knows, and if you don't know, that means you're a new listener, and hello to you if you don't know.
Good day to you.
We are moving on to Quick D. That is the end of the show. That means that Patrick and I are exhausted.
And drunk.
Patrick, are we doing Quick D Classic this week?
Why ever not? Why ever not?
All right, Quick D Classic it is. That means Patrick and I will be asking each other a question we have not been privy to prior to recording, and we'll be answering off the cuff. Patrick, I demand you ask me your question first.
Oh, so demanding. So demanding. That means I have to come up with a question because I don't have one. Here it comes. Okay, I have one. Adam.
Yes.
As you may have read, Disney has newly installed their new Disney World Ambassador team.
Yes.
We were not selected for that team.
Big mistake. Huge.
Big mistake. Huge. I have some shopping to do. Adam, we were selected for a different Disney ambassador team. However, let everyone know what ambassadorship that is and what are our duties in that ambassadorship.
Yes, we are known as Disney's new menbassadors.
Manbassadors, I like it.
Yes, it means that we will be scouring the park, not only delivering Disney goodwill to the guests who may encounter us, but we'll also be rating the men we see.
I like this. I'm picturing us just walking around the park with scorecards.
That's exactly what I'm picturing as well, Patrick. They are themed to the various lands in whatever park we may be in. So let's say we're in, Tomorrowland in the Magic Kingdom. They will be retro-futuristic kind of scorecards, yes.
Rating people is always a good idea, don't you think?
It's a great idea. It's not a good idea, Patrick. It's a great idea.
It's a miraculous idea, that's for sure.
We'll really be making the day of these gentlemen if you think about it, because they're probably there with their wives and their kids. And, they're having kind of a rough day of it because the kids are crabby. The wife is hot. But then suddenly they encounter us with our scorecards and we're like, 7.5.
That's right. We are also crabby and hot at the same time.
Look at you.
I mean temperature, of course.
We'll also be saying that to the guys. Look at you.
We're going to put the ass in Manbassador.
8.3 for those shorts, sir. Your legs are looking fantastic.
8.3 for a couple of things, you know what I'm saying?
Wow, if you're measuring the 0.3, you have issues.
I need to know specifics,
You prefer metric?
I do. I relate to the Canadians in that respect.
I need to know how many centimeters and how many kilograms.
I need to know the weight of it. Gross.
We'll have a scale with us.
That's right. We're gonna take some dictation. You know what I mean?
Excellent callback. Snaps for you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Patrick, you nailed that.
You did really.
You're right. I did nail that.
And that's what we're going to be saying to the men.
You really nailed that.
You really nailed that.
It's time for my question for you.
Excellent. We do have to get out of that, don't we?
Patrick, I know I said in our almost spoiler-free review of Black Widow that I didn't need all the questions answered, but I do need you to answer one question right here, right now. What happened in Budapest?
Oh, how much time do we have? There's a lot to unpack here. Talk about family drama. There are several kids that happened in Budapest. You know what I mean? There are some babies were born. Babies were born, Adam.
Are you talking about Hawkeye and the Black Widow babies?
And the Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
Yeah, there was a throuple situation happening there.
Oh.
We only know who the father was based on rage. Which is a good indicator.
Those are some hypercolor kids. You know which baby is whose based on who's angry.
It's true. Also what happened is Black Widow got fed up and left because the Hulk and Hawkeye were getting a little too close for her comfort.
Can you imagine that? I mean,
I'm doing it right now, and it's hot and a little abusive, I feel like.
He would just tear Hawkeye in two.
There is a specific scene in Black Widow where you see some arrow holes in the wall. Mm-hmm. They're not arrow holes. They're something else. Something else was jammed into that wall in a throuple rage. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know what you're saying, and I'm still aroused.
Use your imagination, everybody. Use your imagination. What a disaster. That will do it for this episode of Gays Do the D. Thanks for listening. To become a patron of the podcast, visit our website at gaysdothed.com/donate. For a donation of any amount, you can receive exclusive Gays Do the D content and help us continue to bring you the very best Disney news and discussion. Continue the conversation after this episode on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at GDTD Podcast. Submit your questions or show ideas to info@gaysdothed.com. Have a great week, everybody. See ya real soon.